Thank you very much, Mrs. Willem, and I think you did Brochel proud with that talk. In fact, it's a particularly tough ask to follow that one, but it's thank you to all our speakers actually so far, and we still have a couple more. And thank you to all of you for joining from wherever you are, your offices or your dining rooms, living rooms, whatever it may be. Thank you so much for taking this time out. I know we can't really come together in person as fully as we'd like to yet, but the ability to be able to do this through the marvels of technology and Zalmi's great handling of the camera over there means that we're able to honour and pay our respects to Rabbi Sacks. I'll take a slightly different turn. We've had some extraordinary presentations tonight so far, and thought I'll just keep it a bit more relaxed and share some memories of Rabbi Sacks and Lady Elaine Sacks' visit, which was almost 10 years ago to the day, and it was January 2012 when, Danny, is that right? And when Rabbi Sacks came, and it was just after we began to celebrate the fact that we were coming up to 155 years as an organisation. Sadly, when Rabbi Sacks came to be our guest here at the shul, an extraordinary weekend though it proved to be his final visit to Australia. It was truly memorable. It was actually frighteningly hot. I think the Sunday of the Torah dedication celebration, it was 42 degrees. And I remember Rabbi Sacks standing right here on the spot that I'm standing now. He removed his jacket and he removed his tie. And he asked us all for our confidence. And he said, can you please keep this between us and not report this back to Great Britain that I've taken off my jacket and my tie. And till today, I've actually kept that promise. But I know that there's a couple of British people online tonight. Rabbi Sacks, we all knew about this marvellous orator, and we knew about somebody who was an intellectual powerhouse. We knew about communication, we knew about the intellect, we knew about the author. What I wasn't ready for, I guess, is this personal Rabbi Sacks that we got just a glimpse of, Danny and I, and our congregation, in those probably it was 48, 72 hours that he spent with us. The personal Rabbi Sacks was somebody who I saw as being deeply passionate about his Yiddishkeit. He was really an Oved Hashem. On his gravestone, Soma L'chon Nafshi, my soul thirsts, yearns for Hashem. We davened b'hislavos. He actually very gently rebuked me and Rabbi Glasman, sorry Yanki, for not davening with enough gusto and not singing with enough kind of energy. That was at Turek on Friday night. On the Sunday, we took a boat. It was the Herzog's boat. And as we were going, Rabbi Sacks got a chance to pilot the craft. As he came back after having steered it around Port Phillip Bay, we met the captain who was up on top in another control room, really piloting the craft. And so I remember Rabbi Sacks saying, I felt there was a guiding hand from above while I was steering this craft. And then in the eloquent way, and I couldn't possibly repeat it as eloquently as he said it, and I don't remember the exact words, he said, this is life. We hang on to the steering wheel and we think we're steering, but there is something above that makes sure we go where we need to be. I also had a glimpse into Chesed, Gemilas Chasadim. Rabbi Sacks, we packed his schedule, and sorry Joanna, we packed his schedule so tightly that he didn't really have an extra moment. You know, he barely had time to have meals and so on. And yet, in his spare times, in those few moments, he made a chance to counsel people, to talk to Rabbonim that were going through difficult times. I remember him right outside here in the Shul Sukkah. He took a little bit of time away from the Siyum Sefer Torah and we've actually got photographs of it, to give advice to some of Melbourne's leading rabbis about how they can forge ahead in their careers and how they can be more effective Rabbonim. This was an element of more than just the Torah teacher. I also saw Avoda and Gemilas Chasadim as well. There is a tradition to say a Mishnah on somebody's Yartzeit, and so I thought I'll simply learn a Mishnah along the themes that I've been presenting about how we experienced Rabbi Sacks that weekend that he was here. It's Perek Aleph, Mishnah Beis from Pirkei Avos. Shimon HaTzadik, Hoyo Mishiyorei Knesses Agdola. Shimon, the great righteous, the great Kohen Gadol, somebody for 40 years served as the high priest in the temple. Alexander the Great, says he saw visions of Shimon HaTzadik when he went out to battle, when he had a successful battle. This was an extraordinary personality. And Shimon HaTzadik gave us this great legacy. And he said, he would say that the world stands on three things. Al shloisha devarim ha'olam omed. Al ha'torah, va'al ha'avodah, va'al gemilas chasadim. On Torah, on divine worship, and on acts of loving kindness. There's another Mishnah at the very end of the first chapter of Pirkei Avos, which is almost identical. In fact, its author is also a Rabbi Shimon. But this is Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. And he says, Al shloisha devarim ha'olam kayom. On three things the world endures. Al ha'emes, on truth. Al hadin, on justice. Va'al hasholem, and on peace. And you don't have to have great insight to be able to see that the beginning and the end of the Mishnayos of Pirkei Avos Perek Aleph are intertwined. These are complementary and aligning Mishnayos. Torah aligns with emes. We seek truth, we look into Torah. We pursue our Torah learning with truth. Avodah, which now manifests itself through tefillah, through prayer. We do that through din. We judge ourselves when we daven before the Lord of justice, seeking to make the world a more just place. And there is an obvious counterpart between gemilas chasadim and shalom. It's the small acts of chesed that we do that bring shalom into the world and heal the fractured world. So these two Mishnayos, the beginning and the end of the first chapter of Pirkei Avos, are counterparts. And they're telling us the fundamentals of life. Perhaps the first Mishnah is in a slightly more religious terminology, the latter Mishnah in a slightly more universal terminology. And just like Rabbi Sacks, you can see the language is inclusive, the language is diverse. But then I came across, when I was reading the Mishnayos, I came across a sefer by Irving Bunim, and Rabbi Helbron said, how could you only have discovered Irving Bunim this late in your rabbinic career? Such an eclectic and insightful thinker. And when I was reading Ethics from Sinai, he wrote this amazing thing. He says, you look in the Torah at the beginning of Bereshis, it's incidentally today, on the third day, on Tuesday, we read that Hashem says, Tadshei ha'oretz deshe. Let the earth produce deshe, which means vegetation. Let there be growth of plant life and so on. Deshe can be an acronym, says Irving Bunim, an acronym for those three things we just said in that latter Mishnah. Daled, din, justice, shin, shalom, peace, and aleph for emes. Tadshei ha'oretz deshe. Let the world endure through these three things: justice, peace, and truth. And we do need our champions that pursue these things tirelessly, that pursue truth, that pursue peace, that pursue justice. And then in the very next pasuk, vatotzei ha'oretz deshe. The earth brought forth this deshe, this truth, this peace, this justice. That was our experience. Totzei ha'oretz deshe. That was our experience with Rabbi Sacks and with Lady Elaine Sacks as well on that very special weekend. One final thought on this theme from Irving Bunim, and to take it to the next level, is actually something that was mentioned to me by one of my congregants in Monday's Shir. We were learning Keitzad Mevarchim in Brachas, the first Mishnah, where the word deshe is invoked by Rabbi Yehuda. And one of my congregants said it's also in Perek Chof Gimel, Kapitel Chof Gimel of Tehillim. Binois, Dovid HaMelech famously says, Binois deshe yarbitzeini. He causes me to lie down in lush pastures. In deshe. Now, if you look at it literally, he's referring to this idea of being the flock, of Hashem being the shepherd. But if you look at it according to Irving Bunim's interpretation, it's Dovid HaMelech praising Hashem for having had the ability to lie down in the pastures of din, of justice, of shalom, of peace, and of emes, of truth. It's nice to be inspired, and some of the speakers that we heard, ranging from Eretz Yisrael to Beth Rivka Ladies College to now Jewish Care and Rabbi Karnofsky from Elwood Shul, it's been very inspiring. However, I thought we could just leave a thought from our shul about a practical initiative that we're taking to honour Rabbi Jonathan Sacks. So, these three values I just mentioned, Torah, Avodah, Gemilas Chasodim, or Din, Shalom, and Emes, they manifest themselves not just in the human experience, but in all experience, including in architecture. If you look at a shul, it has these three elements. It has a place of prayer, a place of avodah, which we're standing in now. It has a place of Gemilas Chasodim, which are the function spaces, the kitchens, and so on. And it has also an area of Torah. It has an area of Torah's Emes as well. And that's the Beit HaMidrash, the place of learning. So when Rabbi Sacks came in 2012, he gave us a bit of momentum, and he told me, I don't need to go to the big shuls that are packed. I need to go to shuls where I can help, where I can bring a little bit of a freshness, a little bit of something. And he came to our shul, and at that time, I'd freely admit there were some struggles for a minyan. I'd have to go out the front and wave my talis to call somebody in. But fortunately, since that time, the momentum has built. And we've been fortunate with demography as well, and the fact that people have decided that they can live in the CBD, or certainly in the inner north and the northern suburbs, there's been a real boom of Jewish families. And the momentum is growing, and it's allowed us to begin a restoration of this shul. There's scaffolding behind us here, which you can't see on the camera. And there's been an extraordinary restoration of the place of Avodah. There's also plans to build a community centre, a place of Gemilas Chasodim. But the central area, a place where 140 years ago children would learn Torah, we want to return the voice of Torah back to that place again. And we have an amazing team that are in the process of producing oak bookshelves, a fabulous decor. Every key sefer is being procured or purchased. And we're going to create a learning centre, a place of lo yomush sefer Torah ze mepicha v'gisa bo yomam v'leila, where people be able to learn day and night. During the day, we envisage people coming in from the city during work and in their lunch break to learn perhaps a daf yomi. Rabbi Mervis, who's with us from Eretz Yisrael, gave a wonderful shir in the city throughout the last few years. And in the evenings, we hope that some of the intelligent and brilliant young people that are now moving into the inner north will be able to come and learn. They're already doing so, actually. They learn every Thursday night when we are able to be here in person. And we approached the family, the Sacks family and the Sacks office, the Rabbi Sacks's office, and we were given the permission to use the Rabbi Jonathan Sacks Learning Centre to dedicate this space. And we know that, just like we learned from Rabbi Sacks that day, that the Torah will flow into the other two pillars and areas of Yiddishkeit, the Gemilas Chasodim as well as the Avodah. And it will hopefully pick up this entire organisation and become a real highlight for the Melbourne Jewish community and a way to honour the legacy of Rabbi Sacks, who breathed life into this shul as he breathed life into Yiddishkeit all around the world. Yehi Zichro Baruch.